Hello. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to another broadcast. It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2019, and this is another day towards the abundance being released. The end of the GCR is well at hand, even though we have restored a republic via the GCR, putting out another report yesterday, though the end of her intel has already been frozen. So we're going to go through some of those things, but one of the more interesting things that has been coming about over the buildup has been happening since the Mueller report has been released is what is next. Q says this is the month that the attacks begin, the offensive begins. So the attack against the deep state is now full force moving forward this month. So what we're seeing now is the shaping of the narrative, right? Which means the public perception as to what is going on. David Jan, the Operation Freedom, is queued up behind me. We're gonna talk about this to begin with because he used to work under the Reagan White House. He was called in for helping to develop a healthcare system. At that time, now, he is a doctor, and that's why he has. Why he was working with the White House. But he developed a lot of contacts within the government. So what has been shaping up is, and I'm going to let him say it, but I'm going to just spell it out for you right now as to what has gone on, why we had a Mueller report, why did we have a Russian collusion. There is a spying program that was put together to spy on not Trump, but to spy on all of everybody. I could say all Americans, but it really is everyone on the whole planet. And the purpose of that was for blackmail, to blackmail everybody. Because if they're going to do a takeover of the world, how have they been maintaining control over the government thus far? Blackmail. It gets into all of the things that the worst of the worst things that they could make people get to in this stair-step process, or down the dark path of the dark side. How bad you can think it is how bad it actually is. In fact, it's even worse than that. Most people can't even fathom that this is. If I said you took the worst things that you would see on the movies or television program or anything that's put out there in the mass media, music industry, entertainment industry, all of the worst things, every perversion and everything that you can think of is actually happening. And they use it for blackmail, to control the people. And the only way to break up that control is to basically turn on the lights, show what's been going on. So this program had a name, Project Hammer. Hammer these people into compliance with the deep state. But that means everybody. So if you think that it doesn't affect you, it would. Every email, every text. Oh, you let's say you were having an affair on your spouse. They have all the texts between you and your lover. Now they can now leverage you. Maybe it's the first small thing. Block this street while we're basically putting up the protesters are coming. We want you to throw bottles. Who knows? But this small, tiny bit of blackmail, right? For them, right? To get you to do a simple thing, right? Changes your life dramatically, so you go and do it. Then you've taken your step down the dark path, and everyone ends up in hell on this path. So this Project Hammer was put into place. Now, it was planned long before, but Obama was the one that implemented it. Clapper and Comey and Brennan were all part of this, and they are all going to be held responsible, and they are all going to go down, and it is going to be for treason. Why do you think they're talking about the president is saying the word treason? Do you think he's joking? Is he real? I mean, he's a jovial guy. Not well, Steve Jan, but I mean Trump. Trump is a jovial guy, right? He likes to kid around and stuff. But when he's serious. If he's talking about treason, he's not just doing that as a general wide threat. He's serious when he says something. He's serious about it. We're heading down that road right now. It's going to be revealed. So anyway, that's the setup of what David Jant is talking about. Now, the reason why it's really a good idea for you to, number one, participate with him, subscribe to his channel, subscribe to his monthly on his website, where he has once a week a podcast that you can listen to if you're part of his group. You can hear what's going on. And because of these broadcasts, it revealed Project Hammer. And because he revealed it, it was on his program, but who he was interviewing talked about it. It caused the cover up of the Russian collusion delusion to happen. It was his program that started it all rolling. They had to cover up Project Hammer. And they did it by pointing to Trump, Russian collusion, spying on his campaign. But it's not about that. It's about how the deep state controls everybody through blackmail, and the expansion of that outside of the government to every individual on the planet. It's scary stuff, because giving them ultimate control. How far down the dark path would you go? How far down the path did you already go? No matter no matter how much you want to consider, your small steps towards the dark path, or it's nothing. Could they leverage you to do something simple as click a button on your screen, give a like? Could they do that with what small thing they may have on you? Think about that. They have access to everybody's computer through the security certificates that's owned by Hillary, the company that's in control of that. So Hillary, makes all this money from every security certificate ever put out there, which is stolen technology, and they're trying to basically get compensation for that. And that's Michael McKinnon. I always forgot. And on American Intelligence Media. Sorry, a lot of information. All right. So anyway, let's start with David Jan. All right, and we're going to just review what he's talking about. And again, I really encourage you to get to his Operation Freedom YouTube channel. I will go ahead and find that link and put it down below in the description after we're off the air. Let us start.
Phone calls, internet activities, financial transactions. Why? For leverage and for blackmail. Because that's what Washington and that's what the deep state is all about. On my way to the radio show this past Sunday, I received text and a phone call from a phenomenal investigative journalist, Mary Fanning. She has written a number of pieces for the American Report with her partner, Alan Jones. And a piece just came out Sunday afternoon on my way to the station. She wanted me to know about it, which was important because I was going to have General Tom McInerney. The title of the piece was Comey Launched Trump-Russia Investigation the day after a general exposed the hammer. That general was Tom McInerney. The exposure came on March 19, 2017, on my radio show, Operation Freedom, which we did live.
So that's what I'm talking about. He had his radio program announce this from a general, and then they had to start the cover-up. They freaked out. So let's listen more.
I knew it was big at the time because that interview with General McInerney was between 4:30 and 5. We signed off from the radio show at 5 o'clock. Within 5 minutes, I was getting pushback from deep state players about the information we provided. Come to find out that when the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz released the text between Strzok and Page, and the FBI released it as well, sure enough, in those text messages were texts between Strzok and Page about the interview I had just done with General McInerney on March 19, 2017, bringing forward the hammer. Now, the hammer had been discussed, but never by a general, and the information was put forward by General McInerney and Admiral Ace Lyons, who recently passed away, who was also very good friend, who was a regular on Operation Freedom. But it had never been brought forward by high-ranking personnel, never on a radio show or television show. And that's what we did that night, and it caused a significant blowback from the deep state. Now, this article just came out this.
So again, catch that Strzok and Page, we're talking about their text, right? Remember how all the problem about their text and how there was a big uproar about their text and what it said, and then their phones got deleted. Cover up. But they were talking about this radio broadcast. Why was that important? Because they needed to stop the information about Project Hammer coming out.
Yeah, Sunday. And I'd like to go through a bit of it with you. This is from Mary Fanning from the American Report. FBI Deputy Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division, Peter Strzok, and his supposed paramour, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, exchanged a cryptic, indeed coded text message on Sunday, March 19, 2017, 26 minutes after retired U.S. Air Force 4-star General Tom McInerney read the whistleblower tapes expose over America's airwaves revealing the hammer on Operation Freedom. The hammer is the Stasi-like secret surveillance system created by CIA, NSA, FBI contractor turned whistleblower Dennis Montgomery for Obama's intelligence chief, CIA Director John Brennan, and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Late that Sunday evening, just hours after McInerney's radio appearance, Strzok and Page again exchanged a text message that explicitly referenced Dennis Montgomery and Montgomery's attorney, Larry Klayman. Only a few hours earlier, General McInerney had referenced Montgomery and claimed an Operation Freedom, exactly the same names about which Strzok and Page were now texting. The next morning, see, so they hit, this finally hit the airways, finally went public, and the deep state panicked. And the next step is they needed to create a cover for what they had already done illegally with the hammer. And the cover was the fake Russian collusion narrative.
So this is the whole story. This is what happened. This is why we've had 2.5 years of Russian collusion, is all to cover up all the spying on all of America, every American, and everyone in the world. And this is why we've had this big push out there on the media. Now, here's the question. If the mainstream media was really for the people, were really journalists and the press as it's supposed to be, and for us to have a free press for the protection of our liberties, why did they not dig into this? Why? We know it's because they are not the press. They are fake news. So that's as simple as it gets. They didn't cover this. So we've had 2.5 years of garbage put out there to cover up what was happening by the deep state. Yeah, Obama is at the top of this, Clapper, Brennan, Comey. And they're all going down, and it is for treason. And we're going to see it. And it's probably this week, next couple days. Let's continue.
Here's what Mary goes on to say. The next morning, the Russian collusion investigation was born. Early the following morning, Monday, March 20th, 2017, FBI Director Jim Comey announced before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence that the FBI Counterintelligence Division, where Strzok served as Deputy Assistant Director, was investigating Trump's connections to the Kremlin, and that the FBI had no information to support Trump's tweet claiming that President Obama wiretapped Trump. That was a lie. This is the reason. So they panicked. And when they panicked, they put Comey out front to announce that they were going to divert attention away from the hammer, since we brought attention to it on that Sunday night. They started out the next morning. But we're going to talk about fake. We think there might be a fake Russian collusion between Russia and Trump. And so that's the first thing they needed to do. And they needed to dispel the notion where Trump had already tweeted out that he believed he was being surveilled. He was. It was called the hammer. Goes on, Mary's article. Comey was well aware that President Trump was under illegal surveillance because Montgomery had already turned over to Comey's FBI mountains of evidence confirming the existence of Brennan and Clapper's illegal surveillance program overseen by Obama.
He turned over the evidence to Comey, saying there was spying on the Trump campaign. And what did Comey come out and say? There's no evidence. That's why this is all going to fall apart. They lied, and they're caught in the very beginning of what they were doing. But how do you dismantle everything that was put out there in place? How do you get everybody to know what has been going on? It's with information coming out, what Dave Jan is doing, all the QAnon movement. This is why it's taken 2.5 years of this garbage to get to this point, is to set the stage for what's to come. The offense, the attack.
On August 19, 2015, Montgomery turned over to FBI Director Jim Comey's office 47 hard drives that he alleged contained over 600 million pages of documentation from Brennan and Clapper's secret surveillance system. This is one of the reasons why I've been telling you for 2 years that one of the first people to go down is going to be Brennan, and one of the other first people to go down is Comey. Because on that March 20th testimony in front of Congress, He not only opened up the fact, because they panicked, oh, we're going to have, you think there was collusion between the Russians and Trump, and that's when he first announced it. However, what also occurred is Comey lied under oath because he said that there was no evidence that Americans, including Trump, had been illegally surveilled. He had that evidence, and we talked about this since 2015. He lied under oath. That's why I've always said that Comey is also one of the first people that it's going to go down. Mary Fanning's article goes on. General McInerney and Admiral Lyons, two of the highest-ranking retired U.S. military flag officers, men of sterling character and reputation, took the information that were exposed in Mary's previous report on the hammer earlier that month, and President Obama's illegal spying operations against Donald Trump to a wide audience with Operation Freedom. Revered four-star U.S. Air Force General Tom McInerney and U.S. Admiral Ace Lyons brought the tapes and the information to America's Airways on March 19, 2017 on Operation Freedom. According to the whistleblower tapes, Brennan and Clapper utilized the hammer to spy, not just Trump, not just millions of Americans, but they targeted Trump and his team and 159 Article 3 judges, the head of the secret FISA court, I believe his name is Reggie Wall, Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, now you know why Judas Roberts changed his vote on Obamacare because of the hammer. I've said this for years. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, business leaders, millions of innocent Americans, and Donald Trump.
So that's what they're doing. They were spying on their political opponents. All right, information for blackmail so that they can get things to go their way, such as Obamacare. Oh, it's a tax. Well, where did that come from, right? How did that happen? Well, it's a tax. In what way is it a tax? Yeah, it's so untaxed that it was laughable at the time, but it's still held for all this time, right? Why did they need to have Obamacare take place? So they can control you medically, who gets care and who does not, or insist that you get your shots. What's in those shots? Well, this is for endurance. Well, here, take some nanobots, whatever. You know, this will protect you from this, but really it shortens your life. Whatever they wanted to do, chip you. You know that it was a requirement under Obamacare that you were chipped. Now, it was only supposed to not to take place and start enforcement until like years later. And they started to enforce it on the homeless. They started chipping the homeless. When they'd come into emergency, oh, they've got to chip him, right? No, he's got no ID. He's got no place to chip him. So we keep track of his medical records. These chips also run on batteries that contain cyanide. Little side note. Anyway, we'll continue.
On Sunday afternoon, March 19th, the FBI took notice of General McInerney's appearance on Operation Freedom with their text messages. According to highly placed sources, General McInerney's radio appearance created a veritable blank storm in D.C. and immediate blowback from the deep state, and I can attest to that. Within minutes after that interview aired live, I started getting blowback. The same FBI and Department of Justice officials who investigated Dennis Montgomery's assertions regarding Brennan and Clapper's illegal super surveillance system and who took possession of the 47 hard drives of proof then morphed onto Robert Mueller's Russia collusion team, again, which was a cover for the hammer. The FBI director, Jim Comey's FBI General Counsel, Jim Baker, and Department of Justice Assistant U.S. Attorney Deborah Curtis, who negotiated Montgomery's immunity agreements, were both deeply involved with Mueller's Russia collusion investigation. The Washington Post reported on March 20th, 2017, the day after General McInerney's Sunday afternoon interview on Operation Freedom, quote, FBI Director James Comey acknowledged Monday that his agency is conducting an investigation into possible coordination between the Kremlin and the Trump campaign in a counterintelligence probe that could reach all the way to the White House and may last for months. And so the first thing is get Comey out there fast, talk about, divert attention from the hammer. We don't want that catching the wind of anybody else. we want to focus on this fake Russian collusion narrative with Trump to hide the hammer. And this,
again, control the narrative, right? That's because that is the whole game. If you control what people are thinking, you can control the direction things flow. And that's all this is about. Even all the ritual stuff that they do and the deep state religion, all of those things that they do are about controlling the minds of people. Getting people to perform these ceremonies also gets them to keep them in line, because the power that supposedly flows to them, right, that comes from these ceremonies, is all part of that. And they do it on a grand scale. Serial Brain 2 just outlined where they tied in things were out of Notre Dame. Another one that they did just after that was about the Kentucky Derby and the Russian plane crash. How those are actually spells, things that they do, or ceremonies that lead up to that move their agenda, right? Because of all the participation from all the people and all the players, everyone's on the same page going in that direction. So it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not, and the ultimate, what's behind the curtain, whether there's demons or whether they're extraterrestrials or it's just an AI or whatever, doesn't matter. It's just that they perform these things as a system of control, so that their players that are in positions that they've taken all these years to place in around throughout government will move their agenda. And that's what this war is about. It's about routing the deep state out, removing their tentacles from every fiber that they've put out, every tentacle, every influence, to remove them. Anyway, we'll continue.
second part. Quote, the extraordinary disclosure came near the beginning of the sprawling 5.5-hour public hearing before the House Intelligence Committee, in which Comey also said there was, quote, no information that supports President Trump's claims that his predecessor ordered surveillance, end quote. And that is perjury, and that alone will get Comey thrown in jail. Less than 17 hours after General McInerney's hammer revelations, FBI Director Comey announced that the FBI Counterintelligence Division, where Strzok and Deputy Director was investigating Trump's connections to the Kremlin, and that the FBI had no information to support Trump's tweet claim that President Obama wired Trump. FBI Director Jim Comey, bottom line, was lying. Which brings us to a recent interview that James Baker, the head counsel for Comey, for Obama's FBI, recently was interviewed. And he said, at a Brookings Institute, I'm really nervous about the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. I'm really nervous about the report. Remember what we've always said. The timing I've gotten from my sources, Barr gets approved, gets nominated, and gets sworn into office. The Mueller report gets pushed out. The Mueller report, I was told, and I've been telling you this for 2 years, will show that the Trump collusion narrative with Russia was false, was fake. There was no crime, not collusion, but treason. If there is no crime, you can't obstruct justice. James Baker recently did a sit down with the Brookings Institute, it's on video. And he says, I'm really nervous about Horowitz because this chain of events, Barr in, Mueller report out, and then I heard that you're going to have a focus on the Inspector General's report of the Department of Justice, Michael Horowitz. To those people that say, well, he was appointed by Obama, he's part of the deep state. Stop. Just watch Horowitz's testimonies, multiple, in front of Congress when Obama was still president. He took on Obama. He took on the deep state. My sources say Horowitz is solid, and he's not playing for the deep state. And he already came through with the report on the email situation with Hillary. Now he's coming forward on the FISA abuse situation, which will be followed by Hoover. I know the zealots are out there saying, Hoover, he's not doing anything. He is. He's looking at how the Department of Justice handled Hillary's email, which morphs into uranium one. So Barr in.
And that is the other place that this leads. Uranium one. So Huber is doing the investigations, and this is the once you're going to see Brennan go down, Clapper go down, Comey go down. Who's next? Hillary, and Bill, on uranium one, and then Obama. This is how it all gets tied together. This is why it's so it's taken so much time. And that's why people were complaining about Huber not doing anything and so on. But no, he's been working from behind the scenes. And there is another. There is a stealth prosecutor out there with the same marching orders as Huber to do a side-by-side, or I won't say not side-by-side, but parallel investigation into these things. It's a good backup. So anyway, we'll continue.
Mueller report out, Horowitz in, and I heard that this is where Comey and Brennan are going to be hammered because information is going to start to sift out, even in the bought-off mainstream fake media about the hammer, and then you're going to see the Hoover report coming in. And remember, Barr has also launched investigations and working with Horowitz as well as Hoover and his own team, looking at the FISA abuse, Hillary's email situation, uranium one, just to name a few. Now, recently, and this is where I think President Trump has decided to focus on Brennan. We got the hammer. That's going to become exposed. Brennan is up to his eyeballs in this, as is Clapper, as is Obama. But in particular, they're targeting Brennan, and this is why he's been so desperate and hysterical. He knows the heat is on. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State now, was the former director of the CIA, first one under Trump.
This is important.
Recently, he talked to Texas A&M person, and when he said this, everybody said, "Well, why is he saying this?" I believe he said it to set Brennan up. And here's what he said. This is Pompeo, quote, "I was a CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole." End quote. Former CIA director and now Secretary of State Mike Pompeo recently lectured at Texas A&M University. The mainstream media routinely takes intelligence officials simply at their word, but Pompeo himself recently admitted the CIA is in the business of lying, cheating, and stealing. And this is something we went into with Kevin Shep on this past Sunday show. Last week, Mike Pompeo spoke at Texas A&M University, himself long known for being a favorite recruiting friend of the CIA, considering, too, that one of the university's last presidents, Robert Gates, was CIA chief and later served as Bush and Obama's Secretary of Defense. During the QA session, Pompeo boasted that in the CIA, both the training and culture are geared toward the following, quote, "We lied, we cheated, we stole." The former CIA chief, now Secretary of State, said the following, quote, "What's the cadet motto in West Point, where he attended? You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was a CIA director."
So, just at that point, the motto or the oath that they take as a cadet, not to lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those that do. That second part is very important. Then tolerate those that do. We can't tolerate those that do. You know, some people are making mistakes in their lives, and that's okay. It's for you to point it out, right? And say, listen, you're doing it this way. But the culture out there is saying to let it be. Don't get involved. You know, so it's a cultural problem at this point. People used to say, honor their word. When they said something, their word meant something. You didn't need a piece of paper to tell you that you have an agreement, right? Because if you don't honor it, we'll go to court and spend all this money, and then all this. So I've got the force of this negative experience to force you to be compliant with your word. Your integrity is so important in this world. I can't tell you how many times I've done agreements with people and they've ended up just changing it on a whim to suit them. Happens. I just, move on as best you can. Sometimes you're entangled into things and there's nothing you can do but do your best to move forward, and hopefully you can work out things and try and lead with a good example as to how to move forward. This world has fallen into a place where you can't trust anybody for anything. Why? Blackmail comes from the top, from the leaders. They act that way. It reverberates throughout the government. Everybody's trapped in the system. We don't want to be in a system where you can't trust the people at their word. So you can't tolerate when people do things that are against your word. I mean, it happens. It's so difficult in this world to realize what's going on. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. I tolerated things, let things go. I know how the world has kind of moved everyone into this position of wanting, just allowing those things. Be liberal thinking about something, right? They have just as much right to do, say, 12 perversions that Lindsey Graham said that Eric Holder said they were going to legalize. These allowances, the ignoring that we all are participating in, because do we stand up and go and say, no, you're not going to do that to our children in the schools. You're not going to teach this to them en masse. No, because we're so layered down with guilt about being against someone else's opinion, how that's okay for them. So you can't say anything. You must be tolerant of that behavior. We must not be tolerant of this behavior anymore. This is something that we cannot sustain. We have to get back to where your word meant something. We have to get back to where you could trust the people in government, in the agencies that are put out there. But we can only do it by removing all of the deep state, all of those things to protect themselves. Everything that they've done has to be dismantled. All the compartmentalization that's been put out there to keep people from knowing this side or that side or this side or that side. Yes, it's for national security. Well, it's for deep state security. There's many arguments can be made by the government about why things need to be secret. Look about this declassification. Why do they not want the declassification to come out? Because they don't want to reveal this information that Dave was just expressing to us. So this week, next week, the following week, we're going to see this come about. We're going to see them start scrambling. Yes, they've been out scrambling on CNN and doing talk shows and and trying to basically, divert and put themselves in the best light possible, because it's their last opportunity. Because when this stuff really comes out, and he even said, Dave Jantz said, that even the mainstream media is going to have to report it. They lose that cover of the mainstream media, and the mainstream media, when they do it, they're already going to experience even a further reduction of their audience size. After the Mueller report came out, they lost 30 to 50% of their audience. Where did they go? Alternative media. Some of them can't go to Fox, right? Again, Fox is controlled opposition. Yeah, but they have Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. They'll give you, a straight scoop. You'll get like Sarah Carter coming on there, and you'll get good information. But they're limited as to what they can say until it gets to the point where it's so obvious, and that's when the mainstream media has to reveal even this information. So we're going to see treason. We're going to see arrests. We're going to see this all starting to percolate and leading to, again, these are like the top, but not the very top of the leadership. The very top is going to follow. And it's not going to stop at Obama. It'll go to Bill Clinton. It'll go to Bush. It'll go to Bush. It'll go to the vice presidents involved. It'll go to the worldwide government that is in place and around the world and operates from the shadows. It's not going to stop here. It's not going to stop with Brennan and Comey, Clapper. It's not going to stop there. Not going to stop. It's going to go past the presidents, and it's going to go to the banking industry. It's going to go to the bloodline families. QAnon has also pointed this out, and some of the Anons had deciphered the correct top bloodline family. It's not Rothschild, not Rockefeller. Paysir, it's a French monarchy. After the revolution, where did they go? Where did they take their money? Well, they built a worldwide empire with it. And you have the royals and what they've put in place now. The royal family also, just think about it, also want to put together the whole financial system of the world. The royals did that. They also did it for their own safety. After all, when the kingdom was not in a good state, where did the serfs of the kingdom go to? Look and bear their grievances. They went to the king. They went to the queen. They went to the royals, and they said, "Why are you causing us all these problems?" So they created a system of governments that were their insulation. Now, in this process, those royal families, of which every country had royalty, everything was about that. They were always fighting amongst each other for resources. This also was the reasoning why they did their grand experiment, where they were to interbreed and create one family of rulers, led by one. So they married together 128 royal families from around the world. And this took hundreds of years. So this wasn't just like just 100 years ago. It started back in, I think, in the 1700s. Because what were they doing? They were using gunpowder and weapons to blow each other up. It was getting critical levels of stuff. So they wanted to stop that fighting. at least the enlightened of them. They had the Illuminati, but not the Illuminati that we all think of as the behind the say the Freemasons, for example. This was another more spiritual group that was more, let's just say, their plan to come out was the plan they called the plan of the experts, to interbreed everyone to make a one world government. So they bred everything together, and also from the standpoint is to bring all of their wealth under one system. That meant all the royal families would put their assets in trust, and that trust would be gathered into one trust. And that process of interbreeding went from 128 royal families. Now, these were the most prominent around the world. There were more small kingdoms. I think, in the Philippines here, we have datus. And the datus are the ones that are kings of their little people. And some of them are much bigger, some are smaller. But, it's relatively, there was royalty, right, that system. But the strongest ones, the ones that, say, had armies to command, lots of wealth, those families from around the world married together. 128 families, 32 females on this. I'm sorry, 64 females on this side, and 64 males on this side intermarry. So now you end up with children that come from that. Now they take those families and they marry them together. Then you go from 128 down to 64, down to 32, down to 16, down to 8, down to 4, down to 2, down to 1. And when they achieved that 1 was over 100 years ago. Around 1900 and early 1900s, like 1905 or something like that. I don't know exactly. The one that became President Sukarno of Indonesia was the first of that breeding program. And at that point, they were also, they had dealt with, throughout his life, the League of Nations, which failed, and then formed the United Nations. Again, all with the idea that they would create a worldwide financial system, and that they would provide the asset base in which that would all occur. That's how we came up with this United Nations, the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF, the World Bank. How did that all work together? How did they have checks and balances? And how was cash created in the system? The Federal Reserve was to be the financier of the world. So everything was based in this Federal Reserve note. So it's a debt-based system that they came up with. Why? Control. Blackmail, if you will. We lent you all this money, country. We want you to act this way. Or we'll call your debt and you'll have to pay. If you don't have any more money, because you're not going to agree with us, you're going to be scrounging, right? And so you get on the outside of the central banking system. So it was a way of blackmailing countries to all act out of unison, out of debt. Same as the people. People are all about getting into debt so that they have to do what? Show up at work, perform their tasks, get their paycheck, rinse and repeat. Get deeper in debt, deeper in debt, deeper in debt. So that system was put in place for the reason of control. Again, blackmailing countries, blackmailing people through debt to get them to act civilized, to civilization, right? These are, goals that when you think about them are good, right? We should act under one planet. We should have, a financial system that is reliable and everyone can build up their life and express their work and get that in return in a unit of value that you can then trade. This is a good goal. Bringing abundance. The system was designed for there to be abundance through these projects and creating debt. Every country should be able to do it. But they weren't allowed. Only the westernized countries had basically that control. They used the asset, used the gold, used all of that to help build their countries to the exclusion of all of the others. Asia, South America, Africa, excluding them. Tank likes to say, T-shirt and website money is what you get out of the project, right? You get your project approved. So how the system was to work, I'll just cover that for a moment. A country, I'm not talking about people, a country has a project. They ask for permission for this project to go forward from who? The World Bank. The World Bank has no money. But it is the access point to which the abundance was to flow. You get a number from the World Bank for that project. The IMF, you take it to the IMF, and the IMF will basically is going to be the manager of this fund, right? And where are they going to get the money? They go to the Fed. Where does the Fed get it? Well, they take the project and they have it traded with the traders. They do buy-sell agreements with all of the other nations and their projects, and they by doing this, by the act of selling the projects, they have a markup. Where does the money come from to pay that markup? We're talking at the top end of the economy here. We're talking about billions of dollars spent on projects at the country level. This system of bidding it up created the extra money in the system. Why? Because there was an asset. It was the one that was to be made by the project. But to get this started, the country that had the project also had to have what? The asset. They had to bring asset along with the project to register the asset to where? The trust. Who's the owner then after it's registered? The trust. And what did they get in exchange? Well, they're supposed to get the money for the project, right? And it's not just this much, right? Because let's say the asset was worth 1 ton of gold. Let's just say it. We'll use gold. 1 ton of gold. That was the asset that was brought in. Now, is it enough to do the project? Let's say what is a 1 metric ton worth? It's a $40 million, something like that. But they needed 4 billion. But here's the asset. What do? They trade it up, trade it up, trade it up, trade it up. This piece of the project over there, piece over there. I have this project. I'm going to make money off of it too. I'm going to raise it when I sell it to this trader. Oh, I'm going to raise it up. I'm going to raise it up. Goes around and around and around and around and around. There's the money. That money then goes to the project. And this is what did not happen for most of the countries of the world. It only happened for those westernized countries, the ones that were on the in with the cabal. What they wanted to do was squeeze out the royals, the places that had kingdoms that were outside, the old rivalries of the kingdoms still in place. They built the West and let the rest of the world be in poverty. Sure, some projects did make it, some where there was influence, there was things that happened, but what happened is they knew that the system had run amok. And back in the 60s, when Kennedy was in office, he also wanted to get rid of the deep state. They had plans to get rid of the IRS and, the CIA. Sure, the IRS would be coming along with it. Get rid of the CIA and United Nations. Why? Because they already knew that it wasn't working. And since Sukarno had the monetary authority to basically create money, he was the only one. The head of the United Nations, the president of the United Nations. Well, who do you deal with when you deal with any company? When you come in the front door of a company, who do you actually end up dealing with first? The secretary of the company. All right, she's at the front door. I'll take a message for you. So when you go to UN, who are you dealing with? The secretary. Why are you not dealing with the president? So the one who actually had the monetary authority knew that the system wasn't working and that the bankers had basically created a coup over the entire system. Where was all the money? In the trust. Let me rephrase it. Where was all the asset, the gold, the land, everything? All the projects come in. You register the asset. You turn over the ownership of the asset to the trust, and you get this allocation of currency based upon the project. So they were collecting all the assets and not allowing the funds to flow for whatever the reason they want to come up. They'll claim it was corruption. They'll say that, there was all sorts of things. Now, this is open to corruption, right? You got government officials in all these countries that are saying, oh, the money is flowing in. Let me take my piece. Tank had said it was less than 2% or less than 1% of the money actually that came in for the projects actually went to the actual project. He called it the T-shirt and website money. Made it out to the project. So this system was meant to bring this abundance, and all it ended up doing was bringing abundance only to those few. President Sukarno wanted to end it. Kennedy wanted to end it. That's why they were creating a new U.S. dollar, U.S. Treasury put out dollar. That executive order went into place. I believe it was 11101 executive order to create this gold-backed money. They signed the Green Hilton Memorial Agreement. I do have a copy of it. And all it is saying that here's the allocations, and this is where the gold is. And UBS also signed it. Union Bank of Switzerland signed off on it. That was also part of the agreement. There was the three of them signing. Because where was the gold? In Switzerland. So this is the system that was supposed to be working and bring abundance, and it would have worked. But the control over the system they gave to the Fed. Fed was controlled by the Rothschilds, central banking system. And they just didn't want money to flow into all the rest of the world. They were greedy. Why build up all these other countries? India, China, Indonesia, Brazil, Portugal, Mozambique, Nigeria. Why build them up? Why not keep all the money for themselves? And that's what they did. That's why the system doesn't work. It's all about the greed. I'm sure that there was a lot of they come up with all sorts of reasons why they were going to screw over the rest of the world. Doesn't matter what they are. It's all based in greed, fears. This idea though of being able to control everyone through blackmail is the world in which we live. It's what the way the system is set up. So to think that it's going to act any different than its nature is foolish. And we shouldn't be foolish anymore. We should recognize what that system is, and we should also be willing to think different and create a new system. A system that really, really is not going to be corrupted. And there's ways to do that. You don't allow people to tinker. Same rules for everybody. Not based in debt, based in abundance, in productivity. In the basis of nature is that we are of infinite value. We are living beings. We are infinite in our value. We do not have a price. Though many try to put prices on living beings. But we have to recognize that the value that we have is expressed right now in debt in the current system. We just now have to create a new system where that is no longer expressed in debt, but it's expressed in abundance, in a medium of exchange that is holding your value that you've placed in expressed out of work, the sweat of your brow is put into this unit that you can then trade with others. It doesn't have to be just one currency on the planet. I'm not talking about that. We're not there really. There is what we have right now is a reserve currency, but everyone having the rest. But really, it ends up removing that. So there has to be some difference, but we have to think about how to create that system. I spent a lot of time working toward developing that system. I spent a lot of money developing that system. That was starting heavy effort back in 1998. Based around hardware, software, things that biometrics, individual working environments. Now it transformed over the years as I've been working towards it. It's taken time to actually even get to what about the understanding of how the financial system actually works. I had vague ideas about how it actually worked. Banking, the debt-based system of the Social Security, birth certificates, all that whole system. I had the idea of how that was functioning, how they were using it to create it, but I really, really didn't know about the actual basis of how it was structured, who was behind the scenes, and then who was behind the behind. So those things are really, really very deep. It's the best way to put it. And we can get into the Anunnaki. We can get into ancient Egypt, Babylonian system. It's the same debt-based money system. More advanced, but the basics of it were the same. Lending money at interest. Always causes a shortage because where's the interest come from? Where is that money to pay the interest? If everything is lent out at interest, where does the money come from to pay back the interest? That is where the evil comes into it. It will always end up enslavement. Always. Always has, and there's always been a rebellion. I heard about this also happening in Egypt, and that rebellion came. 500 years of that system. Well, those infinity agreements are 500 years. Interesting cycle, huh? Another 500 years. Do we want to do that? Do we want to make it to the 26th century? Talking about debt-based systems? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want the enslavement. I don't want this system of control, of bribery, of blackmail to continue. It's not going to end with the snap of a finger. It's not going to end with just because a few people decide that they don't want it. We have to remove the elements within the government that are preventing a new system. The thing is that they're all blackmailable. They've all gone down the dark path of the dark side of the force. They live there, and the problem is when we turn on the light, they vanish. Everything they've done. And all we're doing right now is turning on the light. We have Trump trumpeting that we're on attack now. Attack mode has started, and we're going to see the treason and stuff started. And so it's taken a while to get here, but this is a very good sign. It's not easy. There's going to be bumps, but we need to get started. And that's why I'm so happy to be here working with Tank, getting, well, Kim and Thomas and all their efforts to help support what they're doing to bring these funds into the hands of everybody. And that we can all go down and start working on what this new world will look like. The great thing is we have a model of what we don't want it to be. And we can try things by just flipping it, completely to the other side and do the opposite. See how that works. Everyone will say it's impossible, especially economists, politicians, all the people who are currently in the system will say how you can't do anything but this. And that's not true. There's many countries in the world with their own little economies, all going about doing their own little thing with their own local money. Yeah, when they want to trade with other countries, they always have to go back to the Federal Reserve note. Okay, but they are having their own economies. Some are better than others. A lot of them are subsistence. But we can do it as a country, the unknown country in this case. The trust being known as the unknown country as well in banking terms. This is another whole country in essence, because we will have our own economy that's acting different. It's doing things differently. Abundance-based, abundance-minded people, not scarcity. And so we have to work towards that. And we are. That's the good thing. Now, I just noticed I've been talking for an hour. Oh, well, yeah, I hope you, again, my soapbox is quite sturdy. I've reinforced it so I can stand on it and talk for a while. And I appreciate everybody for your efforts in joining and participating. It's now, of course, Tank has been doing interviews. Actually, I don't know what happened. I tried to listen to the first part of the interview when he starts it, but I just it wasn't coming through, so I don't know what happened there. But it kept waiting for host, maybe. So anyway, but I did say, Tank, I was looking to see how can I record what's going on there, right? So that it would be able to be viewed from this channel. And so that's what I was trying to set up how to get that done. But I'm going to have to do it an after the fact type of thing, so it doesn't overlap with what I'm doing here, where I have to change things around. I want to try and put it out right after this and kind of post get two things up at once. But anyway, we'll figure it out hand in hand. So anyway, after he said that he'd be on between 10 and 10:30. He was going to try and be on between 9:30 and 10. Of course, it is 10:15. And then we'll get the updates on what's going on there. I'm not going to say what he said to me. I'll just let him say it. Only got some brief words in, but there are some things that I'd like to talk. We need to get moving on. Some things to figure out. So let me go and I'll see how things have been going on in the world of the GCR. We have, let me share my screen, another report from Restored Republic via the GCR. I have not heard it. I actually just checked in just before coming on to say, oh, it's a new one. So I'll go ahead and I'll pull this up and we can see what they're saying about the GCR. Here we go.
Judy note, last week the global currency reset and RV was said to have begun and could not be stopped. By Sun. May 12th, Q had finally returned to the internet after a 10-day hiatus, telling patriots to buckle up for the big week ahead.
That was Q, she said. Q had come back, basically saying, yeah, this is the big week that's going to happen. The attack is on. This is the big week. And he actually said to, and pointed to one of the representatives to watch his tweets.
The next day, Black Monday, May 13th, came with a vengeance as the market plunged over 600 points in the red at opening, only to continue to plummet downward until it was forced to close 6 hours early. This paid for release of the 800 numbers, in order for RV funds to recover the market, which could come at any time and likely within a day or two.
So I thought it's already happened. Where are the RV funds? And again, remember, there's been no more Intel. There's been an Intel freeze. So is any of this new?
Also this week, an economic crisis was expected to occur based on the US-China trade war, actually a threat by China and the rest of the world to dump US Treasury holdings and thus formally bankrupt the US corporation, resulting in elimination of the central banking system. This bankruptcy of the cabal would be instigated by a very well-planned stock market crash that has been in the works, teetering back and forth in the red since the market lost all gains for 2018 back on October 1st.
Again, the whole setup of this is the crash of the economy, the crash of the stock market, the removal of the central bank system. All of this, if all of this occurs, what happens to the world? It's like ripping the heart out of a living being, then ripping out their kidneys, and ripping out their liver, and say, okay, now, 2 weeks from now, we're going to come back and we're going to put some new stuff in there. Come on. Does this make any sense? No, it does not.
Never to recover.
Never
Why
to
there was
recover.
no more need for the fiat US dollar as the world's main reserve currency. Currencies across the globe had agreed to reset to a gold asset-backed standard. The Zimbabwe dollar would replace the US dollar as the world reserve currency, and all major world governments were reforming for GSARA compliance so they could. So
Zimbabwe, towards the bottom of the list of the poorest, of the richest nations to the poorest, they're towards the bottom of the list. A lot of the African countries are very much in a bad state. They're now going to be the standard bearer of money, right? Does this make any sense? They have no infrastructure, not heavy infrastructure. They have no way to actually interact on a banking level across the world. Their generals were just in a riot, right, for not getting paid on the GCR. So now is this the new tales that were told to the generals to keep them appeased? Well, it's now Zimbabwe going to be the leaders of the world. Does that really happen? I don't think so.
Participate in this unprecedented global currency reset. Though, it would not happen without cost. Soon a geopolitical crisis via local military and law enforcement would begin with removal of cabal deep state elements in the 209 nations participating in the GCR, including serving of over 90,000 sealed U.S. federal indictments against political and global elites. With so many facing federal charges and gizmo tribunals shouting treason for well-known leaders, the resultant chaos could call in a need for martial law. Martial law was already.
So again, martial law is another one of these problems, right? Because with martial law comes in the blue helmets from the UN to keep the peace. And then remember, that's the plan, but they also have been given permission by Obama to allow the UN to remove the guns of the citizens. No longer constitutional rights. It's suspended under, right? And they have set it all up so that they could suspend the Constitution. That's not possible. Not in a country. You know, if you have a country and you have a constitution, it's not able to be suspended. Doesn't matter what the rules are that they've passed in a government that's corrupt, just like they push through Obamacare. Oh, in the act of an emergency, the FEMA can take over and send you to FEMA camps, remove your guns, and get you re-educated. And if not, well, they did legalize biosludge, allowing it to be used for fertilizer. This is just ground up humans. So the idea of allowing these things to happen, this programming that's come through this channel of the GCR, does it really sound like it's the good thing to do? Allow everything to collapse? Allow these things to happen? No, we don't want this to happen. It doesn't need to happen. We can have abundance. We can build projects. We just need the money to flow into the hands of the people to make it happen. The system has no money in it. We need to have the money to move forward. And if there is no money, we make our own, which is kind of what we did in the Kringle Society. So, we are inventive. We're amazing. We can do it. All right, let's continue.
Partially in effect, Trump has called his troops to the border. Criminals, drug cartels, and gang members were infiltrating the country. Border Patrol agents were overwhelmed. 5,000 migrants illegally crossed the border on a single day last month. The ACLJ and 19 states filed suit to support our border security, one directly against Speaker Pelosi. At any time, the Inspector General report on former FBI Director James Comey would be released that implicated illegal and unconstitutional activities for many political elites, the Democratic Party, and those at the top of federal agency administrations such as in the FBI, CIA, State Department, and Department of Justice. May 13, 2019. TNT Call Ray, Tony, Topcha.com web link. The rates were locked in. Codes were good. The banks were waiting for a go from the U.S. Treasury, expected sometime between now and Thursday, May 16th.
What happened to the 15th? Oh, and by the way, it's the 15th for me, right? So again, remember that was the date that was given out on Judy's report here. The third one we reviewed back.
May 13th, 2019. Coffee with Marks and Friends Monday Q&A. www.pscp.tv weblink. www.twitch.tv weblink. Marked disclaimer. Please consider everything on this call as my opinion. People who take notes do not catch everything, and it's best to watch the video so that you get everything in context. Be sure to consult a professional for any financial decisions. 1. I have some large groups that are expecting to distribute on Tuesday, May 14th, so we have a lot to watch tomorrow. 2. It's possible to see 800 numbers at any time when all this starts. Watching carefully afternoon tomorrow, Tuesday, May 14th. 3. I think this is going to be an exciting week on many fronts. 4. I really do expect money in pocket this week. I really do. 5. The folks in Iraq are downright irritated. They were told they would have the new dinar rate last Saturday morning. 6. Eagle 1 2025. There's a lot of movement going on. The looks of the RV was very strong. The perfect storm was in the works. The Middle East was falling apart. 7. Eagle 1 2025. The Middle East has a rising alert, actively hostile. In Iran, an oil tanker was attacked. B-50.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I don't know how all this news has anything to do with anything.
Nothing. It has nothing to do with
All right,
anything.
Dave.
Hey, what's going on? I am so exhausted with RV correlations. Oh my goodness. Everything means the RV. A bird landed on my car. I think that's the RV. It's everything. None of it has to be other than we've all been mind controlled, but we need to resist it. Please resist mind control. Matter of fact, you know what, man? A couple of veterans on the call today and on the show today, and they were really amazing. And Martin, who is a Vietnam veteran, was talking about how he really used his skills that he learned in the military to integrate back into society, which is a coping mechanism that isn't taught anymore. Because you just came back and they put the antipsychotic.
Hank, your line is really choppy.
How about now? Better or no?
Better, yes.
Better. Yeah, I'll do my best. They're attacking my phone lines on every level, so I won't buy a burner phone today. And I was trying to figure out, what to do because, it's ridiculous. I'm sitting, in the car with my kids who have the exact same phone, the exact same phone service as I do, and they have perfect service. So
Well, you just
load up Telegram.
Your kids' phones. Just swap. Here, use Dad's phone for a while. I'm going to use.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start working it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he was talking about using those skills. Now, I would recommend everybody in the RV. You could be suffering from PTSD after this doesn't happen, and you realize that's the truth. And it might take some doing, right? And I would recommend using the skills and the research and the knowledge you've gained from the RV and the GCR, and use those as a tool to make a better world, and take the project ideas that you came up with and figure out if you're really ready to do that, or were you just doing it because you were told you had to have projects. And you know what, work with other people who have projects and come on board and get involved, and because we are on the cusp of this happening. The system is structuring right now. Kim did have a breakthrough this morning, and she's restructuring to see if all the other transfers will be able to move, freely as well. And at this point, and by the way, I don't know if Dan read this, but she did say, I told her that one of our producers had called Ken Dunn and invited him to come on the show because he's been saying different things negatively against me, against Dan, and he made a threat to, he told our producer to go back to, you tell Tank to go back to his cabal, that cabal woman, and we got something special in mind for her. So Kim did go to the Galactic Council yesterday, and when she was there, she ran that by them to see if there was any attacks by Palladians, because Ken Dunn is a Palladian, and she said, well, it would seem that it's not true. Those weren't her exact words, but that it's not true. And there's no attack. We're being attacked by any Palladians. So whatever Ken Dunn is talking about, it sounds like silly nonsense at this point. So, there's that.
Okay.
And
all right, so silly nonsense. So, it's kind of out there on the edge of of things anyway. So, and I don't know much about Kent Dunn. I heard him when Gary Larrabee would talk about him, but I really didn't know much about him. But it's obvious that his world is kind of locked in, like many people in the GCR, and anything that comes up to go against that, you're going to experience that grief, right? So it's the denial and then the anger, right? And so the anger is happening. So we just wait for these guys to go through their negotiation phase, eventually get over to acceptance.
Well, yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. I fill in for two there on that, gave the positive spin.
I like it. Well, I mean, and I don't want to take away from, the things that Kent Dunn's saying. I mean, what I don't appreciate is when people are putting things out and, the threats and trying to make themselves seem important. Like, I'm on a hit list. You're not on a hit list. Nobody's trying to kill you. What are they afraid of? Averageness, being contagious? No one cares. Like, it doesn't matter. And all the, you get locked into these things and then you start saying things that are just have no credibility to them. And then you hurt other people when they come out saying something that's true because now they associate them with you. And that's just unfortunate. That's just unfortunate, which, that's too bad because, my experience with Kent Dunn personally have always been very positive. I've never had a bad word with him between he and I. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
well, good. So you said that Kim, the very first part of that, your signal got a little weak. So you're saying she restructured something, or what it was that you said in the beginning?
She had a breakthrough this morning. She didn't define what that breakthrough was, but I have a intuitive who has been 100% accurate over the past 2 or 3 months here, and she told me she had a message. She said there was a breakthrough this morning, and we're all done. That's what my seer said, and I checked that with Kim, and Kim said we did in fact have a breakthrough this morning, and then she said that she was restructuring the system, and she said, and she'll see, when it's done, if the system is working accurately with the new method or the new way, right? Which basically means she just completely revolutionized the entire financial system. And now, she's implementing to make sure that everything, all the channels, everything's zipped up and running properly. So that should bring us to the precipice of change.
Yeah.
We're on the edge of a cliff and got a fire on the other side, and just got to jump on this ladder hanging from a helicopter and we'll be fine.
Well, kind of.
In the meantime.
Yeah. Just before I was doing the review on the Restore Republic, I don't think we have to continue anymore. They're not very long, but commenting it takes some time, take half an hour to go through it. But the things I was covering earlier were about how the deep state has used blackmail, surveillance, like the Hammer system to come in and surveil everyone on the planet, and to create a blackmail system that they can extend from the government, which they blackmail everyone to hold power, to every individual on the planet, so that they can get you to do things, right? And through Facebook or whatever, even you to think about giving a thumbs up to something. If you don't act a certain way, then that they'll penalize you with text messages that you had sent a message to your lover, right, and show your spouse, right? whatever there is something, anything they can do to twist what you've done in your life. Now, many people have at least some small things that they can use that they don't want someone else to know, and that's a big problem for most people, and that will allow the cabal to control you at that level. So this is the worldwide takeover, and that this is something, and how I kind of also went through the Planet of the Experts and brought up through how they created the financial system and how they create money in the financial system and how it only benefited the cabal. And it's all about how they control everyone through debt and how they control everyone through blackmail, and how we need to create a new system that is not that. And the good thing is we have a model of exactly what not to do. And we can try by doing things the opposite of what they're doing to see how much that works, and then adapt and create a system that is for everybody.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
And
indeed. Or at very least, that is considerate of humanity. Or how about one that actually does the things they say they're going to do, or governments that actually enforce laws, or agencies that actually investigate and make sure that they prosecute everyone who's found guilty the same way, or don't cover up crimes, or aren't actively involved in pedophile rings. Any of these things would easily change the world. And all of those things should be available to us. I think a reasonable expectation we can have is that our elected officials would not be involved in human trafficking and pedophile rings. I think that's a reasonable expectation for any culture on any planet to have.
yeah,
Just not, and
I think
maybe I'm spoiled, but that's just me.
well, I think you can add it to the list of we want clean air, water, food.
the audacity you have to expect the Environmental Protection Agency to actually protect the environment. That is what we're looking for. The Environmental Poison Agency, who has signed off on the allowing fluoride to be put in the water in combination with their ugly sister, the Food and Drug Association. They're all fraudulent, absolutely fraudulent. Everyone, and I'll tell you something. Thomas always talking about we got to phase these guys out of business, and it takes time. It doesn't take time. You're poisoning our people. That can stop today. And if it doesn't, really, if it doesn't stop today, then they should be shut down. And I'm not concerned about the people with jobs. Either that stops or we should shut them down, right? It's very simple. It's like, hey, you guys are poisoning the water. Your job is you're the Environmental Protection Agency. You're not supposed to let that happen. Like, do you understand that in the very title of your organization that it actually describes what you're supposed to do? You pack of frauds.
Well, when those agencies don't act for our best interests, and you say, well, why wouldn't they? Why would anyone act to the contrary of this? It's the blackmail, right? It's the stuff that they have on them by sending them down the dark side. That's why it does take time to route it. I got it. I know it shouldn't take any time, and it should change in a moment. Snap your fingers and it's done. But the people out there that have been in positions of power, they're paralyzed, right, with this blackmail. Even though they don't want to be in it, but they have to be routed. Turn on the light and move them out of the positions. We have to extract them, and of course they don't want to go.
I remember something. One time I was a camp counselor in the summertime, and this kid did something wrong, and I had to make a decision to send the kid home, right? I didn't ask anybody. I had him sent home immediately. And so, parents were up in arms. I said, listen, I don't care what you say based on what that child did. He cannot be here anymore. I'm sorry. And I was very polite about it. But here's the reality. I will never forget the person who spoke to me and said, some decisions you make, they stay with you. You can't do anything about them. Now, if you are in a position in the government or in a body that's an agency that you think is the government, or you really work for the United Nations and you're starting to realize just how corrupt the orders are that you're getting, and you realize, man, there really does seem to be a depopulation agenda, because we have a really big army of people that we're just bringing in places and controlling police stations and all things like that. All of that. Make your decisions from this moment forward, no matter how hard they are, and realize that the entire karmic debt of your actions. All the things that you think you have hidden from people, but you haven't hidden from the universe. You haven't hidden from and there are consequences for those things. Now, if you want to undo that karma, undo those actions by just coming clean. Now, I know that's ridiculous. How on earth could anybody come clean? Here's how. Because you got kids, you got grandkids, you got people you're responsible for. Now, do you really want them to be paying for your karmic debt? Do you really want them to have to suffer for the rest of their life because you took everybody down a path of destruction? Because you have not won and you will not. There is no victory. There's no victory for the darkness this time. I'm sorry. You had 26,000 years and you ran your course, and it is the time, and the light is rising. And every time another person gets activated, that light gets a little brighter. And what happens is you are exposed and you are ugly. So let that go. Let that go. And let the good people who are doing all they can to change the world, enable them, allow them, support them to go change the world and make it a better place for your kids. And you can go your way, serve your time, accept your consequences, man up, woman up, human up,
You know,
whatever you got to do.
those out there that have already flipped, right, got and pushed a different direction, they had blackmail on them. Lindsey Graham, right? He's now a champion, right? He's in the right path. You know, I remember when Lindsey Graham first, was in Congress, and I used to like, his positions and things like that. I follow, and then he started acting opposite. I noticed. So, what happened to you, right? What was the thing that actually changed you? And this is a bogus. What you're saying is a reason why you'd go forward with this. No, but now, obviously he's been freed. That's from QAnon. Now that he's been freed, and what is he doing? They removed his blackmail, and now he's out being a champion.
Man, and Lindsey Graham, I'll tell you that man is aware. He's been a beast. I mean, he's called them out over and over and over, and you could tell he's fearless about it. You know why? Because he let it go. He doesn't have to live in a state of fear anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care what you say anymore. You got nothing on me, punk. So he just keeps coming. Every time they do something stupid, like Lindsey Graham has become like one of my favorite politicians because he does what everyone should do who has half a brain. He doesn't pretend to be a lawyer because he watched Law and Order and try to use yes or no and like all these like tactics. Yeah, I know he's a lawyer, but, but they're not like real lawyers, right? They pretend to be what they saw on television.
They're politician lawyers. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but now he's doing what lawyers should do because lawyers are experts at examining documentation and pointing out discrepancies and flaws in what you're saying and what is written, right? And he's been doing that nonstop. I mean, for the past year, he's been great. You know, he says it says this right here. It says this right here. What are you talking about? What is this nonsense? Like the debacle that they're trying to run right now to, run down President Trump and they're trying to make it seem like they're the ones who are advocating because there's a constitutional crisis. That is like cabal 101, right? Like take what you're doing wrong, then take the opposite stance really hard, right? It's like the Bugs Bunny move, like when you be talking to like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
And he's like,
he says the opposite and then they switch.
Right. It's like you say the opposite, and then all of a sudden Bugs Bunny flips it on him. Yeah. And Elmer Fudd says, absolutely not. You are leaving right now. And he lets him go.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Elmer Fudd. Bugs Bunny was the cabal. Who knew?
That's it. I started off also today's broadcast talking about David Jand and Operation Freedom. Very good video he just put out. It really encapsulates exactly what has happened. That he had revealed on his program, Operation Freedom, with an interview of a general that brought out the information that said Obama had Project Hammer.
Really?
Yes. And he announced it on his show, right? This came out on his show. The very next day, Comey is out there pushing the attention on Trump with Russian collusion. They had to
Wow.
cover their butt because this pointed directly at Brennan and Comey and Clapper and Obama. And so,
Well, it goes deeper than that. Obviously, Project Hammer's been around for a long time. I mean,
but,
that
but,
comes from the bushes.
but the widespread use of it to against Trump and everyone else in government as well as regular people was used by Obama to weaponize it at that stage because they were taking over the government, right? They're taking over the world, not just the government. They are taking over the world, and they needed to get that blackmailable material because that's how they operate, right? Everyone in government is blackmailed. They had to extend that down now to the people. Put in all of the chains on their ankles so they can get everybody, into this system, this corrupt, evil system. And that's how I branched off of that. So that corruption of 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 blackmail extend through the government, now extending to the people, the control of people by debt in the financial system is extended out also, and how they were going to use the GCR as a way to, cause the problem. They have to come in with a solution, with the blue helmets and taking away the guns. So, you know, this is why this was so important. This one episode with David Jant and how he talks about what's going on. He's outlining what's happening this week. He's saying what's coming down. They're going after Brennan. They're going after Comey. Well, they're not really talking about Clapper, but he'll follow in as well. They're talking treason. This is coming down right now. That's what's been pushing. Now maybe it's a week from now. Maybe it's 2 weeks from now. It's hard to say because when Q puts out something like that, there's this buildup of a time, and then the deep state puts out their foxtrot, the fake thing to divert everyone's attention, to get people to off track from what news is supposed to happen, and then they bring it out the week later. So Q brings it out the following week. So they're trying to get them to act right now, right? Bring out their heavy. But of course, they don't know what to do because every time they've been hit with this, their false narrative angle disappears each time. So
that's a brand new thing, right? It used to just be it would keep going that way.
Yeah,
they can't fabricate enough because everybody's on them.
Right, and so they get the news cycle for an hour now, and then boom, they lose it. So they're losing all control, and now that's why everything is flipping. So anyway, I was encouraging everyone to go and sign up with David Jant also, and go and watch his videos because this is the inception point of where this information made it into the public and why we had this Mueller report, why this blockade was put in place. What is it blockading against? Finding out about the hammer, finding about how to what depths they were going to use to control everyone on the planet through blackmail. This is the worldwide shadow government, the deep state cabal. It's now exposed, and that's why I went through it, pretty intensely. I reviewed just like we were doing the review of the Restored Republic. This is a highly important piece. That's why I was pointing it out.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is how I feel. I am so exhausted talking about mediocre, these small-minded people who all they can care about, all they think about is covering their own diabolical actions. What I want to talk about is the incredible heroics of those out there who have found a way, who have found their way here today to listen, who have found a way to listen in their own right. The young lady, there's a young lady who called the other night, and she has her own Spreaker broadcast, and she talks about all these different cures. And man, I gotta get it from her, but hopefully she'll reach out to me but but I want to support that. I want to make sure we're doing all we can. Look, we've got some amazing things happening. Right now on the Speak Pro Radio, we got a whole production team, and they are doing amazing work, and they're making great contacts. And we're going to start talking about how we overcame them. If you go to speakproject.net right now, and you go to that very first homepage, and you start reading what that says, you will realize just how relevant that is. And I will say this, and I mean this in a very, not in any way to make something of myself at all, that that first page is a prophecy. Matter of fact, I'm going to read it to you right now. Here's what it says. The Sovereign People of Earth Acting Knowledgeably Project is an awareness movement to ignite people's curiosity about the world they live in. There's much more to this planet than we've been led to believe. In fact, we're currently in the midst of a cosmic shift in the consciousness of the entire universe. At the center of that awakening is you. You are the one you've been waiting for to change the world. Those changes can manifest in a million different ways, but what's most important is that you are taking action that demonstrates your desire to expand your energetic signature. In this new paradigm, you are the powers that have the ability to create the place in your dreams you have always imagined was possible. The Speak Project started as a movement during the last phase of the liberation of humanity. In that space in time, a small group of revolutionaries woke up from the trance of mind control, bondage of fear, and the expectation of failure and ignited a spark in the world. That spark started with their coming together in the most important moment in human history to take a stand against an impossible adversary. After thousands of years of lies, oppression, and abuses, Speak united the hearts and minds of the people to set aside the petty differences they once thought were so important. Each member of the voice realized they would fight for the other to have their freedom, and they were counting on the other to do the same. This energy created a vibration that was so strong it was able to destroy the grid that held the whole of humanity in darkness. The light they shone during that movement was at the heart of the Speak Project. The instructions that united the efforts of each member. The heroic stories and the common vision are chronicled here on this site. We honor the members of the Speak Project as they are still writing their history now. They will always be known as the ones who were willing to speak up for all humanity when others stood down. Now, you hear that. Now, if I wrote that today, that would make sense because, we've done a bunch of stuff now. But that was the very first thing. It was the very first thing I ever wrote on Speak Project, as if it was already done. So I'm telling you now, you tell me and then you could go back to the Speak Project, you can read it play by play, and you'll see exactly that is what's happened. And be
Indeed.
part of that. Indeed. And Dan
to
came on late.
So just a reminder. So I did send Tui the link, so you're welcome to jump in on here. No, we're ready to move, man. We got no more of this cabal, negative garbage system that they put in place, and making the world a miserable place. Why would you want to participate in making the world a miserable place? No, it just doesn't make sense. Why these people are so insistent on doing the wrong thing?
That's okay.
Right.
We don't need to give them any power.
Yeah.
Ratu, Tui Loma Loma. You there?
Hey, Tank. Hey, Dan.
Man.
Hey.
I miss you, man. I miss you. Feel like it's been ages.
I miss you too. Miss you both. It's good to be here. I just wanna, just wanna thank everyone. First of all, just wanna thank everyone on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you, Tank. Thank you, Dan. Like Tank is just mentioning, we are creating this reality together, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here and to be here with everyone, and to be here in this moment, this time, in this now, to be doing this together. and it's always a love and blessing, and it's always a pleasure to be doing this every day. Today we just had the meeting. We had the meeting with the trade union congress in Fiji, and it's the first time for them to hear about the trust. And they came, all of them, those 2,000 people that were on strike and still on strike. They came today, and we, the chiefs here and the elders, they welcome them, and we sit them down and talk about the freedom that is already happening in the planet, and we're just bringing them up to speed, to spot to what is happening, and they're so happy, and they, um, they're at rest, because there's so much, people are so in a very sympathetic state where they're always afraid or fear of what's they gonna, what are they gonna feed their family the next day, and what's gonna happen the next. And now that they're here, and they understand, and they understand the whole, the whole picture. And I was able to, teach them for 4 hours. I just finished the, I just we just had it over, and they're having their tea. They're filling up their forms because we wanna give them a different, different path to their future. We want them to create their own new future. We told them, your life have been taken for granted by the people that treat you this way because they value money. They don't value the essence of life that you have in you. Now you can have a chance to recreate, look after yourself, look after your family, build a house. We'll sit down and we'll work together to try and do that. You don't need to go and work again where these people, with this low wages and all this, and they're opening up their mind. It's like we're giving them a new creation, a new choice, and the people in tears, and they're feeling the freedom and the satisfaction, or the calmness that has come into their different, into finding out that there's a place where we can, put all we can rest, and that's what I meant, which is within them. And now all I teach them is just to figure out, the sovereignty within them, and how powerful they can be. They can create whatever they want to create, and just to open up their mind. They're not just, they're not just slaves and working all these systems that they wanted. Now they understand what the law of the seas and all these other aspects of what is happening, on the planet. And now the government has heard about what we're doing and what is happening with them, and they know who we are now. And we'll be, next to be visiting our parliament, and I will be visiting the parliament. I'll be talking to all the ministers, and I'll be asking them to, we just work together to heal our country together. We don't want no more fighting, no more arguing whose fault it is, because the planet has changed. Everything has changed. It just need to come to the awareness. So if we can do that together peacefully, everyone can learn to heal themselves, lean everyone, to heal everyone that's been hurt, heal the families that's been, people running, taken out from their job. They'll be able to be healed, compensated with, and they'll be able to correct everything that has been happening in the past. Because all of us have been victims to these systems, and if we stand and we start pointing fingers at each other, then we still continue on the same path that used to be in the past. But now we can sit, and we work together and come up with a solution, and work together with the trust. And I send you our allocations of funds on what the chiefs has decided to allocate the initial amount of funds that and the work that they will be doing on the cleansing of. I've sent it on your email, and so the allocations of funds that will initially start our project in Fiji and in the Pacific, And I know because of the invitation, the funds that the what you call this, the mobility fund, that is also in there, and the reasons for the mobility fund. I just want people to come to Fiji and have a rest and learn about what sovereignty is from the people here, and learn from the land, learn from the history that we have in the land, learn from the legends that is also a prophecy. It's all in the land, and I don't want to talk about it. I want people to come in and learn, and because it's gonna it's gonna build up that awareness that everything that is happening is has a very high level of spiritual guidance that has been happening for over thousands and thousands of years, and we are all in this together. And so to be able to come and share this with everyone else, and there will be places where we can have meetings, and we can have conferences where people, if they want to share their ideas and their projects, and if they want to start it here or wherever they are in the world, we'll be able to talk. But the first thing I want to do is I want to put everyone in a state of rest, of a sympathetic, parasympathetic state, where they can come here and just calm themselves down, relax, listen to music, play some music. There'll be some music, some music festival that will be happening, that will be organized, and all the different bands all over the world will be invited. So you want to share that creativity, and we want to meet people and meet our family members that have been separated for so long. And if this can be the beginning of this unity, and if it can come to Fiji, we would love everyone that want to be involved, that everyone that involved in this change, whether they're on the chat room or wherever they are in the planet, will be invited, and I will be sending you money for your out of your flight and for your stay in Fiji, and we want you to just come and just take a break from all the hard work that you guys have been going through. And Fiji is a lot of varieties of places where you can come, and you can choose from all the different getaways that we have here. And we'll be organizing places that we can come together and have conference and meet each other. And it's going to be a wonderful experience of growth, mentally, physically, spiritually, and growth in the awareness and what we understand about the world, and about the technologies that will be available, and how you can share it, how we can actually come up with places where you can develop them and perfect them. And like with what we've been talking about, sovereignty is inside us. We'll have to stand for it, and we'll have to walk and get it back. And because it's inside us, all this work and all this experience, we will just remind ourselves on the sovereignty that is within us, and and then our body will be able to grow, and to grow to the full understanding of that, what it means to be sons and daughters of the living creator. And so very soon here in Fiji, we'll be reaching our government. We'll be talking with our prime minister, um, the Asian Development Bank. No money from them. Now we have our the United Nations General Secretary is here, and so same thing. We're trying to host and try to get some money from them, but there will be no money from the United Nations as well. And it's a lesson that they as leaders will be learning, and leaders for every other countries in the Pacific, in the world, will be learning. And I know everything is working together for this change and how it comes together. Just people, we just need to sit and listen and understand that the fifth element within us is just one, and it's gonna change when it wants to, and when it comes, everything will just change. And so, as the planet has agreed, as everyone, every soul on every soul level, all the animals, the plants and animals, they've changed. The people will also change. There'll be time given for everyone to change, and their evolutions or the way they grow, it will depend on their own choices, and in a way that it's not harmful to them. So Fiji, we just want to create an environment that will be able to nurture the awareness, so that it's not harmful or they're not in shock. They'll be able to process the awareness, every level by level until they fully understand who they are. And so, if this is how it can begin, we will do that. That will be our role. The initial fund that we receive will be also be done. We'll be doing a cleansing ceremony all over the country in Fiji. We'll be giving money to the villages, to the different districts, so that they can do cleansing work. They will have to cleanse if there's any problems with, some chiefs with each other, and there've been disputes of land and all this. They will have to solve that on their own and reunite with love and the understanding. Because what I've been talking about how Fiji is the only country that have what you call the law of the land. We have what you call the book of life, the Holy Mbula. What the chiefs has decided, we want to put every name, all the Indo-Fijians and all the Muslims that are here in Fiji that has become part of our family, to put them in the book of life so that they can have land titles entitled to their so they will be included to the tribes, and because they can't live, they won't be able to go back to where because they are born here in Fiji. And the chiefs, they understand that if you're born in Fiji, then your soul is from here, and no matter where you go on the planet, you will always be in agreement to this three-dimensional time space. So whatever race they will be, if they're born in Fiji, they will always feel that they're from the place. If they go anywhere else in the world, they will always feel what you call this, they don't belong anywhere. And that's how people will feel if they are far away from where they're born, right? They will always feel that emptiness, because it's part of the DNA. It's part of the information that is imprinted into your DNA where you are born, and it's imprinted to the soul of or soul agreement. In some way in your life, you'll have to be have to return and fulfill and fill up that emptiness. And so that's what we are doing. We want to write everyone into the book of life, so that the I don't want the law of the sea to be binding, and we will take that out until we'll be able to make Fiji free and no more money. We don't want any form of currency. You might transition is welcome, but progression is also welcome. But ultimately, like I always said, we don't understand already the physical part of what money is. We don't even know what the meaning of money is. And if we put that in a different platform, it's gonna be it's you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. If it takes us maybe 3 years or 10 years, whatever years that may be, whatever generation that will be able to fulfill that, to totally make us free. We will be teaching everyone how to do it, because if we do that first in the world, everyone else will be able to learn from what we've done here in the country, and how we changed from the transition of how the law of the sea runs the country, how to the law of the land, where everyone is sovereign and everyone is binded to the land, and because they are not different from the land, like like who I always said, we are the land, we are the air, we are the water, we are the fire, and we are one. If you get separated, there won't be anyone, anyone alive, or there won't be no living. The fifth element will exist in a different place, and so this is the agreement here on this planet. So no matter where you are on the planet, if you're breathing air, drinking water, and you have blood, and you have this agreement, you're part of the fifth of the five tribes of the planet. And so, the sense of who you are and the true awareness of, the living creator that is within you. That's the role. That's the lessons that you have to learn to remember who you truly are. You are sons and daughter of His living essence that is in everything, that is also everything, and through time, through space, and all the other dimensions in the future. And so this is what the galactics understand. They are not different from us. They're just us from different agreement and different probability of time. And they've already agreed that we'll have to stand on our own, and we have to learn to stand. They can guide a little, but they won't infringe on the lessons of sovereignty that we are learning together. And so, yeah, what are we having now in Fiji? We're doing it. I know as soon as tank, as soon as you're ready, we'll be ready. We'll wait for that. We'll wait for fun. We'll talk with the banks, and if the whatever you want, whatever Kim will want, she will be allowed to speak to the leaders, to speak to the chiefs, and to speak to the people that will be involved from this side, and we can move forward and heal this country together, and not just here, but the rest of the planet. And so, and just mentioning that, I just wanna thank everyone. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Tank, for the time, for your love and kindness, for the what you've done and what you've been doing for the people of the world. Not many people will understand this, but Tank is playing a very, very important role as an Elohim. That's the role that you are playing here, and we understand who you are, and we see, we can understand, we know who you are, and I know that's the reason why Kim chose you to, and chose you guys then to be able to do this work. And so this thing where this happening is accelerated really fast in just within a month. They've been trying to do it for how many years? And now it just happens within a few months, few weeks that we've been talking together. And it's an honor, it's a privilege, and yeah, that's just simply the update from Fiji. And I can't say anything else. Just thank you very much.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, let me, Dewey, I had a question. I was letting you talk. I didn't want to interrupt because I just keep the flow going. But you said you're having people fill out forms. So what exactly are the forms that they're filling out?
Oh, it's just an organization, like an institution kind of thing. We don't want everything just to be all over the place when the money comes in. We wanna have some basic information on the people, the role, what they want to do, and just keep it in a systematic kind of way where when the fund comes in, it's easy for us to actually reach out and just talk to them, just to keep it in a way that will be if money comes in, if it's decided to be given to the people for their projects and whatever project that they've already been part of from the past 1 year, 2 years, that will go into whatever account they will want to go. So all this basic information has just been collected just to make our work easier, and because it can happen anytime now, and I'm trying to hold it back. So, but as soon as they're ready, we'll be ready, and the government is also already in the know. I just need to talk with them and realign the spiritual image, because that's the most important part of this change that is happening. The fifth element within has to be guided in a way that that sovereignty will be naturally be remembered. Because if
I was wondering if the forms you were having them fill out also had them, show their sovereignty in the form. So it's making some sort of statement they're sovereign.
yeah, like basically, like I said, the law of the land already exists in Fiji. We already have them sovereign, and they already. If you come to Fiji, every 95% of our land is owned by our tribes. So, like you are talking to me, I'm a sovereign being because I have my own land, and I was born in it, and I own it. The government cannot just come and take it and make use of it, or use it in like to work for, to do it. I mean, to use it as the part of the economy. They will have to ask us because we have that sovereignty. So for us, we don't need that registration we don't need to prove to anyone that we are sovereign. We are just sovereign already. and the rest of the people in the world, the government is always sovereign. The government owns all the land. You have to buy the land, or if you want it, you buy it. It's your property when you buy it. For us, we don't buy the land. It's I was born. All this land is given to me, and now if I'm a chief, the land and the people is the respect within us is part of the sovereignty of the whole land. And so you can, for Fiji, you can just come in to a village and you do some work, no matter where, no matter who you are in or whatever, wherever you come from, you will have to ask for permission because the people on the land they are sovereign. And so the government understand this, and the government can't do anything about it because even people in the government are also sovereign people from the village. And when they come in, they will just follow their protocol because they are brought up in that way. They have to respect the family. It's just like if I come to your family or your house, I will have to ask permission to do work inside your house. I can't just come in and and do anything. I'll have to ask
I
permission.
can't come into your house and just like start doing anything. I can set up my own store in your living room.
No.
That is apparently illegal. Yeah. I'm letting it go on, but
No,
You can come to my house and do it. I'll give you the authority to do it.
oh, okay. Well, thank you. Well, I was just trying to make a point. I use that same example when we were talking about the illegal immigration into America, right? As the people
Yes.
there, and then they just take from the system. You know, they get on the money. They get free money. They get more rights than the people that are already there, born there, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I always used to say. Well, they come. Would you like it if they came into your living room and set up a store and started having?
Yeah, see the different like the structure is this is very interesting because in Fiji, the people like you can come then you can come to Fiji, and just because we've agreed, you can come and own land here. Like you can like it's not like the U.S. The U.S. the government owns everything, and the government chooses to choose these people or that people. Over here, you can just come because we are friends, and I give you land. You can become citizen, and I can even write you into the book of life, and then and then you own the land. That's how easy it is here. But the
Great.
thing is, if people come from outside and they come to Fiji, they will feel out of place because everyone is sovereign, and they won't be able to do what they're doing in the U.S. where they come in and they try and walk and do all this. Because if everyone in
You keep them in the tourist hotels so they know what to do.
no, even that we don't because we don't value money. If the illegal people come to Fiji, we'll give them land, we'll give them houses, because we don't want if we come to their land, we don't want that to be done to us. So that's why we will do this. We will. That's how people here are like that. They won't treat you like like you're a criminal where they will say hi to you and then they understand what's happening and they come here, you can stand, take this land and you build your house in it and you stay here whenever and then you can live whenever you want. And then if they want to put it down on paper, they can just bring a whale's tooth and they seal that forever.
Okay, awesome. Well, I can't wait to come. I know I see some people in the chat room. They're talking about the who's going to get there first. Someone's calling shot. I'm closer. It won't take there.
Stone away from the Philippines.
I'm ahead of time. I got a good lead on them, right? Almost.
I can't wait. Yeah. I know. As soon as we start, we'll keep this this ball rolling. Yeah. Sorry. Thank. Go on. Thank.
no, man, I'm listening. I'm encouraged by the update from Fiji, and I want to Tui, I want to do a little more formal interview with you so that we can have that in a format that you can put out all over the world. We will record it on the blog talk and we'll do it on an MP3, and then that's a very easy format for people to forward and change and download on their phones. And but I want to take you from the beginning to end very systematically, so we can really encapsulate in a very clear connection. So we got to figure out how to do that. But I think, obviously, I feel very strongly that that's, part of my soul contract is to make sure that that message gets out. So
Indeed. I'll be happy. Just let me know when we can do that. Yeah. Thank you. I'll
yeah,
be looking forward to it. And
good.
yeah. Thank you.
We'll
All
talk
right.
soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I have got to go attend to something pertaining to my kids. So please excuse me, but I got to get off the line. Dan, thank you for keeping the fire burning, and Tui, thank you just for being yourself and keeping Fiji, running. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And I will talk to you
Thank
guys
you very
tomorrow.
much. Thank,
Tank, give me a
thank
call
you very much.
after you've settled your whatever with your kids. Give me a call.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably be a little bit, be a couple hours. But yeah, I will.
No problem. All right.
Okay, cool.
See you,
All
Tank.
You
right,
take it easy.
And for
take it
everyone
easy
else,
from Fiji.
we got a question. James Maxwell, I guess he had a question. He said, apart from our land project being registered with the GOC, Go Camelot platform, how do we bypass the normal registration process? Well, sorry, Tank just left. We'll see about getting that question. I'll copy it and I'll paste it into Tank. So we'll get an answer for that. Maybe we'll cover that tomorrow. Right. All right. So anyway, I got that over there. So anyway, well, thank you all for joining. I think we can cut here. What do you think, Tui? You want to add anything else?
I'm good. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone. Wherever in the planet you may be. Thank you for all the hard work that you've been doing. It's maybe you may think that you're doing it all alone, but I assure you, we are doing all this together, and this change is happening because of what you are doing and what everyone is doing together on the planet. And I just want to thank you and encourage you. As soon as this starts, I would love to meet you. I would love to meet everyone, and everyone here in Fiji would love to meet, and all the ideas and whatever love and expression of love that you can express and we can exchange. It will be an honor because it's not only gonna help us grow, and it will also help you grow, and we grow together. And this information, the sharing of love, and all this that will be happening in the near future, I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to thank everyone on the live chat. Thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for the time that you're spending. Whatever project you may be, whatever project that you will be expecting, and we will be looking forward to to that unity, to that sharing, and to that growth. And thank you so much. Love and blessings to everyone. May peace always be with you. And thank you so much from everyone here in Fiji. Please do take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Well, thank you, Tui, and I appreciate you joining us. Thank you, Tank, for joining in. Your broadcast was today. I'm going to go and listen to that in a little bit. I'll also post it here on the channel here as well. I talked with Tank about that earlier. I'll just re-record it and post it so we can hear it from this channel. And then also, I see we have 87 likes and 100. We had almost 200 people watching. Right now it's 107. So give your thumbs up. Be sure don't forget to give the likes, positive comment, share the links, subscribe.
In
Yes.
No, I just said indeed.
Oh,
Indeed. Yes, and peace and love. Peace from Fiji. Take it easy, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.